5 minutes of questioning.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. And I want to thank you, Professor Warren, for taking the time to be with us today. I'd like to just continue down the vein in terms of how you think this is going to impact, small businesses. And so if I can, for consumers that are out there, if a consumer voluntarily enters into a consumer transaction with full disclosures and full information, are there any reasons on which you or the agency could possibly prohibit, penalize, or invalidate the transaction? And if so, what are those possible reasons?
Congressman, I've tried to make it clear. What this agency is about making the prices clear, the risks clear, making it easy to compare one product to another. We would have to go through all 18 statutes to see if there are already certain prohibitions. But the point is to get an informed consumer, because I believe that American families are good at making decisions when they have information up front.
And I couldn't agree with you more. And this is about protecting consumers. But I guess my question is that the way the statute's written and the law, there's going to be one person in charge. And that person, according to the way it's written, anything that's risky or potentially uncertain isn't going to necessarily be, or could be subject to be invalidated. And so I'm trying to get a better handle on what will you determine is going to be a risky proposition. So because again, someone that is informed, an informed consumer that may choose to enter into a financial transaction or purchase a financial product, that for some reason the Consumer Protection Bureau determines is risky, is that going to be invalidated?
Well, I think perhaps it might be that you're referring to the authority that's currently with the Federal Reserve, often referred to as UDAP, unfair and deceptive practices. So the authority is currently there in the statutes. It's there, in fact, I don't know if it's in all 50 states, but in most state laws, the capacity to say certain practices are deemed unfair and deceptive. There's a long case law in this and a long history on this. That will come to the consumer agency. It will be part of our responsibility to enforce those laws, Congressman.
Can you give me any sort of an idea in terms of how you plan to reduce the regulatory burden on small institutions by adding yet another regulator into the mix? Right now, when I talk to people back in my district all the time, it's the uncertainty that's out there. Uncertainty is preventing people from investing. They're just unsure about what tomorrow will bring, and so therefore they don't. And what I see this doing is, again, creating another level of uncertainty. And especially with the amount of power that's being put into the Bureau, they are just going to, my take is that they're going to wait, and we're not going to have investment, and it could be potentially problematic. So I would just be interested in your take on that.
No, I appreciate it, and I appreciate the concern that this question expresses. We will take transfer of the authorities that are currently there in 7 other agencies. We'll put them in one agency, and we'll hold that agency accountable ultimately to the American people. And what we'll do in this process, and what we've tried to do in this process, is reach out to all potential stakeholders. We've talked with community banks, we've talked with credit unions, we've talked with very large financial institutions, we've talked with some non-bank lenders. In fact, Congressman, we've even gone out and had extensive conversations with the investment community, those who invest in financial institutions, because they've had questions about how this new agency would be set up. And it's been very interesting to find where there are a lot of allies for this agency. The investors, for example, who have said, if you're going to make these consumer products a little more obvious for consumers to understand, that dials some of the risk out of this system overall. And we think long-term good for banks and long-term good for our investors.
And I appreciate that, and certainly we want more transparency. But I want to get to accountability if I can.
Sure.
I anticipate that people make mistakes, and certainly with one individual, the chances of making a mistake are probably greater than if several people make a mistake. In terms of oversight, can you tell me, right now my understanding is FSOC has got a 10-person board, has the ability to basically overrule a decision done by the Bureau. Is that correct?
Chairwoman, may I answer?
Yeah.
The answer is yes, FSOC can overrule this agency and no other.
But that would be with a 2/3 majority, correct?
I believe the vote is with 2/3 majority. Of course, the consumer agency doesn't vote.
Right.